Well, looks like we're all here, so we'll call the meeting to order. And we've got, I guess, one agenda item. Do we need to approve the agenda?
So, I'll second.
Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, okay, motion carries. So we're gonna talk about our assistant principal / career advisor position. And I think I'll just turn it over to Russ. What have you got for us tonight?
I guess I can only go from what I hear, and I hear that Misty is pretty overworked. And I was brainstorming with Misty a while and trying to figure out if assistant principal, dean of students, something like that. Kind of a learning process because I learned a lot about them. Dean of students, you don't even have to have a teaching license to be a dean of students, which is really weird to me. Assistant principal, you don't have to have a principal credential to be an assistant principal unless you are going to be evaluating teachers. Then you would need to have a principal credential. Both of them, I guess, they're pretty much the same duties, and it's really student centered. So what I see this position, if you guys decide to do it, what I see this position is helping out with some discipline, some the career advisor, the what else have we talked about? What was that?
Supervision.
Oh yeah, supervision
Different times,
at
like
different
one of us
times,
are
bus
recess,
duty,
one of us
recess
is lunch.
duty, things like that, lunch duty. Also helping with more mentoring of the staff. Like if they need help, there could be a person to get a hold of. Attending IEP 504 meetings, so that person would be kind of liaison for that, because it's tough for one person, one administrator to get to all of the 504 and IEP meetings. So to have that other person would help a lot. So I guess I don't know where you're at as a board, what you're looking at, or what you want to do. It's pretty much open on how you want to pay for that position, whether it's off of the teacher's schedule or off of administrators. You could do either one. It really doesn't matter. I guess, what questions do you have?
I think we could go back to I think the question we left off with last meeting was on that career advisor. Okay, we need one of those, or we want one of those, is our counselor position. And I think we've answered that, but just to go back and recap, I did follow up with a phone call to Rachel, our attorney. She replied with an email, basically stating that her interpretation was one counselor could cover both K through 7, or is it K through 8? No, K through 6.
K through 6, correct.
K through 6 and 7 through 12. Say if you had 150 kids in each, yes, one can cover both. And then in her email, she deferred to, maybe it would be better answered by MPI.
Yep. And then
And so then I
Yep.
asked Mr. Ziegler to look into that.
when I first started in Elgin, we have one counselor too, so that was one thing I looked into. I talked to Jim Upgren from DPI, and he said the same thing as Rachel said, that it's prorated. So if you have 300 kids in your district, one counselor can do that. It doesn't matter what grades they are. Once you get over that 300, then that's when you're going to have to start looking into another counselor. If you have, let's say you have 75 in elementary, 75 in high school, so it's 150 total, then you would only need a half-time counselor because it's prorated that. So you take the number of kids divided by 300, and that's the percentage of a counselor you need, whatever that is. And I think we're a little over 300, and so one counselor and the career advisor, if that's a different individual, would cover that, because the career advisor can take 1/3 of that counselor's duties or that counselor's time.
So is that what we're doing right now?
That's what we have been doing, I believe.
So our counselor is half-time elementary, half-time high school?
Depends upon your students, I guess. I'm not sure how her time is broken up.
Her time's broken up by percentage, so since we have more students, she has 3 days here, 2 days there, and then whoever, like if something happens, she gets called back and forth.
And then we're claiming something like 38% or 0.38, I don't know if that's percent, saying 0.38 as career technical as well on that same person? Because that's what I was told by the state, is we're reimbursed for a 0.38
Oh, yeah,
counselor on career technical,
right.
okay? And then the career advisor piece only can be used for the portion that is not 7 through 12, if I'm understanding right. So how does that roll into, what I'm trying to understand is, sounds like we need more counseling. I mean, how do we roll into one person, half-time elementary, half-time high school, and the CTE portion? Or are we just not reporting that right?
No, the CTE portion is part of that, of their duties already.
Okay.
We just get reimbursed for that. Because that counselor then does the choice ready type information a lot of times, and some of those other duties for that
Sure.
CTE. Just like your business teacher, they get reimbursed for their CTE courses. It's part of their job already. It's not over and above what they already do. So that's kind of what the counselor is too. We get reimbursed from CTE, but it's not over and above what they do.
Mr. Isaac, same way.
Yes. Unless, like, I don't know if, well, we have FFA down there, so our ag teacher does FFA also. That would be over and above, but that still gets reimbursed by CTE. And if your business teacher has FBLA, that could also be reimbursed partially by CTE.
So as I guess as I understand it, as we sit here now, we need one full-time counselor and we need a career advisor or somebody to cover that extra.
Right, since you're over 300 students.
Yeah. 0.09 or whatever we're at.
Mr. Zinger, what's your opinion of that career advisor position? How have you seen that working out?
I know, well, down there in Elgin, our counselor does it.
Okay.
I mean, but we're a lot smaller than here. We have 178 kids total, pre-K through 12 down there. So then our counselor does the career advisor, and I think it's needed. I see a lot of times seniors, I don't know what happens between their elementary and senior years, but a lot of times they don't want to do anything. So that career advisor really helps with scholarships, with getting, applying to colleges, getting them in the process of trying out things that they possibly might want to go into, but they're not sure yet. I think it's a very important position to have. So
when you say your counselor does it though, is she acting, or are they acting in the capacity of a career counselor or truly as a career advisor? Or is it just kind of one and the same?
It's one and the same.
It's okay.
yeah.
So you're saying that career counseling or career advising is needed, but have you looked into specifically that career advisor only position and that separations of that with the Are You Ready and the
No, I haven't.
and the requirements there? Okay. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's just an interesting position to me the way it's defined in the state. I'm not really too sure where I stand on it. I'm not exactly sold on it, but.
And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of schools are doing it because they can't find a counselor.
Okay.
So then they get that career advisor to take, they can do 1/3 of the counseling time, especially if you're a very small school.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Or in our aspect where we're just a little over
Right.
300.
Yeah,
And
Well, and
we're,
we're-
what, maybe
yeah.
20 kids over.
right, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hire a 0.9 FTE. There'd be nobody who would wanna work here 2 hours a day or something like that, a week, I should say.
That's where my mind is at on this question is, from what I'm hearing, so far I've seen the list of tasks as discipline, recess duty, lunch duty, IEPs, perhaps behavior.
Mhm.
To me, I question whether we need an assistant principal or if we just need another counselor. What information do we have that says really what position we need as a school when, okay, so yeah, I understand that and glad we got clarity on the numbers with the counseling, but to me, some of these tasks that we're claiming we need and duties probably speaks as much to, especially when you look at an IEP. I mean, personally, I've attended IEPs, and I'm not sure an administrator is, always the person you want to help with 504s.
They're required.
They're required, right? But
Yeah.
additional help with
Yeah.
that.
No, I mean, administrator has to be at an IEP
At a
meeting
504, yeah.
or a 504, yeah. We don't have a choice.
Right. But I guess I'm just asking the question with these is there other tasks that, to me, this sounds like maybe assistant principal in the wooden literal sense may or may not be the right position to fit this.
Might come down to what you can find.
Right, yeah. I know one thing with counseling, and I thought I was gonna be a counselor for a year. So I went to courses and they really hammered it in that you don't want your counselor being a disciplinarian. Because if you do have that student with mental health issues, if you just discipline that student, they're not gonna come to you. They're gonna have a bad feeling about you. So that's one thing where you don't want to have a counselor doing discipline.
But do you want a counselor like with behavioral issues?
Right, yeah.
So which do we have? Do we have any data on what we're dealing with? Is it more behavioral? Is it more just true discipline and that's...
From what I hear, I think the issue is that when there's one administrator handling a case and something else comes up, they're stuck. So then who's gonna take care of the one that comes up, or vice versa? So it's and I'm sure every school, I'm sure Taylor has that too, with if somebody in first grade is having an issue, but then while you're dealing with that first grader, somebody in third grade starts to have an issue.
But to be fair, that's probably in every small school.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not an anomaly here.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, it's at every school,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not just small.
Well, yeah, but you've got assistant principals and
Yeah,
counselors
exactly,
and all kinds of other
Right.
support staff there to help
Right.
on that.
Yeah,
Well, I guess I feel, I don't know who brought it up, or Jody, I think you just did. It depends on what you can find. I feel we're a little late to the game to see what we can find for this year. I don't wanna just see what we can find and stick it in and say this is what's gonna work. I think we need to go through and see what we truly need. Whether it's another counselor, whether it's an assistant principal, either can obviously fill the career advisor position. I just don't, being so far into it, I don't see us getting necessarily the right person. Because we have to advertise the position, we have to do interviews, we have to go through all of this. And contracts have already been signed, things have already been done. What options are we gonna have? And I just don't see it being something that's gonna be a very good use of everybody's time.
If we don't do anything, just say, skip it, it's, too late. How will you know? I mean, the worst thing, if we did post and advertise and look for a position, I guess the worst case is you don't get anybody, but you won't get anybody if you don't try, right?
I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't wanna post a position and then have one or two people apply and neither of those people are what we're looking for. And
Just throw a body in there.
right, I don't think that's the best thing to do, is to just throw somebody in because we feel like we need it right now. I think we need to find the right person to put in there. I'm not against the position at all. I just don't think at this point in time it's worth doing this year.
I'm with Jody, I think you open it up and see what you get.
Well, before we go to that point, I'd like to understand if we know what we need.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm not sure that an assistant principal is what we need. You know, it took us long enough to understand and know that the career advisor can be anybody. One of the paraprofessionals can do it. One of the, really anyone. There's not even a certification requirement for that. The only real requirements for it is that they have to report up actually through the career counselor, which is interesting when we got our counselor loaded again. So that portion, the career advisor, I'd almost want to set on the table and say, look, well, you know, I'd almost like to see somebody come forth with the staff that says, I want to do this. That's what you really want in staff and people. You want to find people that want to be doing, you know, take a science teacher and have them teach history because they're usually not. So I'd like to know what we want there. I mean, this whole thing got me researching more. Who is our student performance strategist?
Be on your MISO 3s. I'm not sure who was.
And that's another
designated.
position that's required by Century Code.
Yeah.
As I start digging, you're gonna find stuff. And so I'd caution, I think as a board, we gotta take a look at what we do have for staff and look if we even have minimum requirements by the state. I've got quite a few questions that I'd like answered there before I said, yes, an assistant principal is definitely the best place to put our money.
I feel Russ kind of laid it all out, just what, the things we do need.
Well, the reason we're doing it is because we need to lighten the load of Dr. Vogel. I mean, Dr. Vogel took on, and Dr. Peters took on when Jen Young left, who was principal / career advisor. And so then, now that's still there. So that's why we're talking about this, because we need to lighten the load. Now, if we don't do something this year, then she's stuck doing it all again, plus career advisor. Because you have to have somebody to fill up that other counseling. You got a percentage of counseling that's not filled.
Okay, Mike,
So-
I've got a
So
question.
if we don't do anything, you go another year overloaded, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Okay, I got a question, so first on that, again, I don't disagree if we're trying to lighten the load, but what should we be hiring that best handle that load? What is the load? And then I guess secondarily, why are we clear out here in the end of June before we're aware of this load issue when,
I
you
think
know,
it's been
to
talked.
John's point, had we known about this, say in January, February, we'd have probably had a better chance of getting, you know, right now, Dwayne, you've got 90 plus, 95% plus people certified that are looking for a teaching job, but already got a contract and a job, right? So our chances of finding quality people is
Part of it's
tough.
because we all hired a principal that was / career counselor, and now we just hired a principal. So now, that's when we created the problem, which
Sure.
was in, what?
But no,
March?
because how did that change the workload
Because
how did that change any of the workload?
it's gonna switch, who's gonna do the career advising, who's gonna do
The
that?
career advisor, like I said, anybody, in my mind, anybody can do that. We just gotta find and advertise that as an extra duty and say, who wants to do this? Right?
So we want that position, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys agree on that?
Absolutely.
We want that career advisor spot.
Yeah, let me clarify that, I want that
Yeah,
position,
we almost
but
have to.
who does it? It doesn't have to be linked to, I'd even argue that I don't think having it linked to an administration is the best way to go about with that.
But I also feel like once Dr. Peters left, we left Dr. Vogel holding the bag as far as
Right.
full principal. Because Kelly was taking part of the principal duties also.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the career advisor is trained by you.
No.
Somewhat.
Trained by the state, but in the school by me.
No, the career advisor reports, in the statute that created it, it reports to the career counselor. It is overseen by the career counselor. I'll get you the statute.
Well, Just to clarify, Damien, not that I am the person that should be training, but with the change of guards so many times here, to keep up what we have been doing and continue to progress what we do with kids, there are things that have to be done, and so I train that person.
Okay, and I understand and support and get that in the situation we're in. But when we make statements in here of this is the way it is, I wanna be sure that the statements are correct with what statute regulations say. That's all. You know, and to the point of what do we need, and I'd love to see that data of what we need as a, you know, we saw the test data and we saw that, okay, middle school math scores, probably area of opportunity, right? We got several areas of opportunity. I'm not sure that using our money, our limited resources, as has been said, for this position is the best. You know, I alluded to this one here. I'm reading more about, I'm not sure where this goes when you don't meet requirements of the state, because I know they've been bending on the standard, but this one here says that each school district must have available one full-time equivalent student performance strategist for every 400 students in average daily membership in kindergarten through grade 3. Each school district shall submit documentation to the superintendent of public instruction at the time and the manner directed by the superintendent, verifying the amount of time that each student performance strategist expanded in tutoring students in a one-on-one basis or in groups ranging from 2 to 5, or in providing instructional coaching to teachers. For purposes of this section, a student performance strategist must A, meet the requirements of an elementary school teacher as set forth by section 15.1, so on and so on. B, be licensed to teach or approved to teach by the Education Standards and Practice Board and hold a special education endorsement or credential and serve as a tutor or instructional coach. So here's another statute where we're being told by the state, here's another position that is century code. You know, I don't know if we've had that position in. Yeah. Lindsay?
I know, I'm just back here. Don't quote me on this, but I know that the discussion was had this year because we have Chelsea Christensen as full-time title, and then Mrs. Pretzer's music / title. And there was a miscommunication this year about which one was title and which one was performance strategist. So I'm not sure what the hours are that need to be covered on that, depending on how many students we have. But I wanna say that if that is the case, then we probably do have that in the K4 setting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but that was a conversation that was had earlier this year.
So that's what I was gonna say too, most of the time it's title teacher,
Okay.
especially if you're school-wide. Cause then that title you can work with every kid, it's not targeted. But I guess I didn't know about have to have a special ed endorsement, so.
So all I'm bringing up here is that I get that it's tough to meet all these, and unfunded mandates, I get it, we should all be talking to our legislators about unfunded mandates, but anyway, we should, as a board, get a more holistic idea of what we have, of where we're spending our money.
So student performance strategist is not necessarily a full-time, one-person job.
It's not on the agenda.
No.
You know, as far as timing, you know, I get that we're late to the game and all this, but, I guess it was brought up to me by Mr. Ziegler a couple months ago. You know, basically having, you know, concern about what we need and what we're doing here. And I think that was after we knew that Jesse was leaving, so we didn't have a career advisor. And I think what you had said at that time is like, yeah, it looks like a good combination of positions to fill a couple
Right.
needs.
Yeah,
You know, at that point, so.
yeah.
I mean, we have 5 through 12 is 195 students right now. Okay, and I mean, yeah, I get where that's a lot for one principal, and pre-K through 4 is 130 students. That's a full-time principal, as we have it now, so. We've got, well, basically half again as many students in the high school, or in this building. It's the building, I mean. that you end up working with. So that might be part of it too, but I guess, you know, I don't know where you guys wanna go from here. But at the very least, we probably need to talk about the career advisor and what kind of strategies you guys may have to fill that or do that if we do not hire, you know, an assistant principal or something like that.
Right.
You wanna speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing that I've been thinking about, and I haven't talked to Misty about this, so she might slap me later, but that's okay.
I don't do
She
that.
does, she's mean. Anyway, something has to come off her plate. I mean, if we're not gonna have an assistant dean or an assistant principal or a dean, we have to take some items off of her plate. Because I saw you're doing student council, you're doing honor society, you're doing, you know, a bunch of those things, like Damien had said, other people can do those. So, I mean, I think we can work with it without hiring somebody, but we can't do it if we're gonna expect her to keep doing what she's already doing, if that makes sense.
So I guess let's say we don't hire anybody right now. What would be your first thoughts on career advisor? Like what do you think we would need to do, or how do you think we should go about trying to fill that spot so everything's compliant?
I think we'd have to look at, as Damon said too, that maybe there is a staff member that wants to do it. I don't know, but then they're gonna have to be given time in their schedule too. So then, I know there isn't time in anybody's schedule really, teachers wise. I'm not sure about Paris. The other might be an issue since most of the time the superintendent does the title reports, but now we switch that to Lindsay. So if Lindsay's doing title reports, maybe I can pick up the career advisor for a year, you know, but it's my first year here, that, I don't know, I don't wanna overextend myself either. So, I know we can't add it onto Misty's plate, she's already overflowing.
And don't get me wrong, it's a super awesome position.
Well, yeah, I'd love to do it.
Yeah,
Get to work with kids, yeah.
Well, that's why I wonder if we reach out and, you know, figure out if look at schedules, look at whatever, and is there a way we can make it work for the year and see what that need is and what it looks like and how we have to transform that next year. I mean, I just don't wanna rush in and put a position in that we think we need that next year, all of a sudden we're like, now what?
I don't think we'd be rushing into it. We took it out because we couldn't find anybody when Jen left, so they just picked it up. We've just been covering it with people and.
But Jen was a counselor and a principal.
Exactly. Right.
And
now
so was Mr. Bone at that time, if I'm understanding.
Mr. Bowen was over at the grade school.
Correct, but he also had served in the capacity of counseling and principal, right? So all I'm saying is that,
He was not
what's the
career.
whole history there?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we're not creating a position, we're just going back to what we have. Is what I think we're doing.
6
Or
years
should
ago,
do. What's that?
what we had 6 years ago.
3 years ago. When Mr. Peters left, when Mr. Peters came, we still had, Jen left the same time.
No,
She left the same as Mr. Bones.
I thought that was a year
Left the same-
prior.
Nope.
But it's not the same in terms, like I said, it is important to say what actual duties were they serving in, and so if you had
Well,
both, but so what you're saying is.
She
you had-
was principal slash,
counselor.
So she was 50% each, and so was Mr.
Mr.
Bone,
Bowen did career advising.
and then he did career advising. So really what you had there, Dwayne, is one administrative role and one full-time counseling.
You had us two
And
part-time principals. Mr. Bowen is principal over in Taylor.
Correct.
And Mr. Chen
50%,
was here.
and he was
So you had
50%
two-
counseling.
Right,
Right,
correct.
so if you melt that down, it's two
So did-
positions,
Well, was
50% each.
So
Was it 50-50 though? I don't
was
know.
Mr. Bone doing the career counseling when
It
Jan
almost
was
had to
here?
be to
Yes.
comply with.
So she was just doing counseling,
Counseling.
not career counseling?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, the career advisor position
and
is
then did we
actually.
have another counselor as well, or was she the only one?
Over here?
Jen was here and Scott
in the
was over
district.
And Mr.
So he filled as the counselor over there, she filled as the counselor over here, okay. Alright,
Yeah, so it's not apples to apples, cause you had administration, both of them were serving in administrating and council.
But there's two administrators here and one in Taylor. So it'd be like having a principal and then an assistant principal here and one principal in Taylor.
Right.
But you had a superintendent,
Yeah, the
So you always have
superintendent then too.
right? But there you had three people. Before, 6 years ago, or whenever this was, you had three people. You had Dr. Vogel, you had, what was her name?
Jen Young?
Mrs. Young, and you had Mr. Bone. But you were distributing their work as full-time administration with library duties and even that at that time?
I was hired under principal and library.
Okay,
That,
principal
that
library.
hasn't changed for me.
But then the other two positions were literally 50% counselor, 50% administrator each, right?
Did we have another counselor at that time?
Mr. Bone was 50%.
In addition,
And career advisor.
and then Jen
Yeah,
Young.
career advisor.
in addition to those two.
But as far as
So that's what I said,
administrative roles,
those were the only two that were doing
between the two
council,
of them,
right?
it was one. Right?
Yeah.
And so now superintendent,
So now we have a counselor, full-time.
right? And so then it's the same as it was then, because you had a full-time counselor and two serving in principal and other duties, be it library or be it career advisor versus elementary principal now and title. It's weighted the same, it's,
It's not weighted the same
it
because
is,
Lindsay's not coming over here part-time.
nor was Mr. Bone.
No, but you had two people splitting it.
All I'm saying is you're comparing it to what used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the same thing right now. So this truly is a position ad that we're talking about.
Well, it can't be the same,
Well, I just broke it down, where was I wrong?
because Mr. Bowen did career advising also, so he had,
Correct.
right.
So that's just like the extra duty, same as now we have an elementary principal doing extra duty.
So we're just missing a career advisor
He had two extra duties, Mr. Bone did.
Yeah, yeah, two, the career advising and the,
and council.
Counseling, plus principal.
Right. So we're missing a career advisor.
correct.
That's what we're
Correct.
missing.
Yeah.
And the career advising.
And a
became-
half-time, and a part-time
That's
principal.
part of the principal.
No, it is not. Again, it's not, should I whiteboard it? There is not, you have
Well, you don't
two-
have to whiteboard it because you have a full-time principal over in Taylor where it used to be part-time. Now you have a full-time.
No, you have full-time with title duties.
Okay,
Right.
so now who is doing 5 through 8 principal?
What you had
Who's
before
doing it?
was a part-time principal,
So who's doing it now?
so what you, Dr.
Should I
Vogel-
whiteboard it for you? Who's doing it?
Go ahead, let's whiteboard it. Because I'll show you by the math that this is truly position ad.
It is not a position ad because Misty has taken on that other partial, and so did Kelly Peters. And once Kelly Peters left, then we put it all on Misty.
I
So
think
she was basically 1.5.
the piece we're missing here is that, is that 5 through 8 principal.
Correct.
Well, I'm not gonna
So-
say
so
that
call
the
that a
way that
half-time
it was
position.
distributed before might have been more balanced. But this is a position ad. Why, if you did the mathematics of, you assign this person, because as you fill out the MISO, right, you put 0.54 for this person, 0.38 for this, right, for these duties.
So even if it is a position ad, do we want it or do we want to do it? What do we want to do?
I think we have to.
I mean, we need to find someone to do career advisor for sure. I mean, at the very least. I mean, is it such a deal where we want to leave it up to our administration to see if they truly find someone that says, hey, we found someone and this person fits a good assistant principal and a career counselor, can we hire them?
No, we
No,
have to
you
do
can't.
interviews,
You
we
gotta-
have to
yeah.
do open.
They have to.
They have to.
Right.
But I'm saying, there has to be interviews, there has to be
Yeah,
a
they have
link
to do it.
that
And
it's gonna
Joyce-
be open.
Jody just said it. If they find somebody, would we be okay with it?
Yeah, I don't think the board has to interview for assistant principal. The board has to approve it, right?
Correct.
Any admin.
But you have usually a board on the interview,
Not
a
usually,
board member on the interview.
not usually.
You don't have to.
I thought you did on, even teachers we usually have, haven't we?
I haven't been at a teacher interview.
I thought there
for-
was usually one person from the
You
hiring
can go
committee on
to
an
it, I
interview.
mean, you can go to
Oh,
it.
maybe I misunderstood. I thought that's what someone said, is there was usually a board member on the teacher interviews.
But yeah, you certainly can have them. You certainly can have. I mean, but
I'll make a motion that we advertise for a principal / career counselor.
Principal or an assistant principal?
A career counselor?
Or a career
Career
advisor?
advisor,
Well, which one?
career advisor.
And then part of the clarification I think we need in any motion is, as Mr. Ziegler started, he was talking about the need for or not an administrative degree. Are we truly hiring an administrator? Because there was some points he made about how this position, and the reason that matters is because it affects your applicant pool. You'll have, I'll caution the board that you could have teachers internal, which would be a good thing, it's career progression, that if we define this where it's non-administrative, why then they qualify for the job, and they'll probably, which would cause another vacancy, right?
I guess,
As Mrs. Messer, are we okay with Paris at this point? We haven't gone completely over our specific schedule.
I don't think was the position filled that was with the resignation.
No, I'm talking about extra on top of that. We haven't sat down to see, like, so what happens is I do a schedule
Right.
and put everybody in their classes, but we have to make sure everybody's minutes are covered in those classes. We still have to do that.
Okay.
But as of right now, we still have one para to fill, but that para would be full-time para. But, I mean, possibility. I don't think we, go ahead. I don't think we need someone with an administrator degree, but if you would like them to have one, then you state that.
I was just gonna say that I don't think we have enough students to have a need for 2 licensed principals or credentialed principals in this building. Because you have 5 through 8 would be 1 per se, and then 9 through 12. Where I see it as 1 head principal, and then you'd have an assistant under that person. So that head principal is still the 5 through 12 principal, but they have help.
And the difference is, according to what you found out previously, and this was a long time we talked about it, so clarify if I'm wrong, that then I would still have to be in charge of all staff evals.
Correct.
The only difference is if they have a principal credential, then they help with evals.
They could, yes.
But if you're helping in other areas, I can focus on more of that.
Great.
Okay, your motion was interrupted, you want to.
Sorry.
So I'll make a motion that we look for an assistant principal / career advisor.
Okay, motion on the table.
So are we saying for, I mean, again, I don't want to hire somebody to put in just to hire somebody to put in, so I'm fine looking. But if we don't find the right person, I don't think we have to have it right now, but, you know, it just that seems irresponsible to do. And I don't think that, I'm fine advertising it, don't get me wrong, let's advertise it. But I just don't want it to be well, here's what we got, we have to hire him. That's not what I wanna do, I just wanna make that
You wouldn't
perfectly
want to
clear.
put somebody in that position.
No, I know, I'm just saying that, I have no problem advertising the position,
Right.
but with full intent of, we're not gonna stick somebody in there just to stick somebody in there.
Right. Right, no, I agree.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
I mean, is that kind of how you feel as well, Mr. Ziegler? Is that we need to have the right person in this position?
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, it's hard to say, but I don't want somebody that's, we're gonna have for a year, let's stick somebody in there we're gonna tell them they're only getting it for a year. No, absolutely not.
In my short time as being a superintendent, one thing I found out is it's a lot,
More
It's-
work
yeah.
than the wrong person.
It's a lot more work to have the wrong person in a position, so than to go without. So no, I completely agree with you that it has to be the right person.
Yeah, for further discussion, I guess my principal question is why are we in a rush? When you break this down, the only thing that's changed versus last year is the career advisor position versus last year anyway. And the career advisor position, we haven't even explored if there's another option for that. I'd like to see that done. I'd like to see us take our time to explore our options. And I think it's incumbent upon us as a board to make wise decisions about how we spend our money. We certainly have a limited set of that. We've talked about the ESSER funds, depleting. We kind of banked those this year with that, salary deal. But anyway, I for one think that we need more information and a better assessment of what our school needs are so that we as a board can make a good decision on what best reaches our goals in the school.
We did go 1 year without any help for Dr. Vogel when Brant was here, because he was strictly superintendent. He was not also assisting with principal. So we went a full year with Dr. Vogel doing it all. So we were short for that one whole year.
Okay, so I don't wanna speak for anybody, but you seem like somebody that's gonna jump in and help.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think Brent did too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
not
think
that-
Brent-
Yeah, well,
But that's not their position anymore. They're hired as a
Right.
superintendent.
He was hired as strictly the superintendent. So we hired Kelly Peters as superintendent /
Principal.
principal.
I'll just tack on to what Damien's question was there a little bit, is what have we explored so far, what, Dr. Vogel and Russ, have you explored for the career advisor? Which I know you've gone through a few ideas.
right,
Come up with anything?
I haven't looked at anybody in particular. I mean, if you're talking about people for it, I mean, I don't know, honestly, I can't tell you if there's any teachers interested in it or not, so, then I don't know.
And we may not get an applicant
We may
at this
not,
point,
Right.
at least it'd be open
At least it's
for
open,
when.
that's all I'm looking to see if there is anybody out there. You don't know if you don't try.
So for clarification then, on if you were gonna, you made a motion to post a position and look for this. Is this position subject to board approval? I mean, I believe it, believe the answer is yes.
yeah.
What positions are subject to board approval? Every teacher?
All of them.
Administrator?
All of them.
All of them.
Everyone?
Yeah, we hire and then we bring it to you for the final approval.
So how long do
I don't know if
we,
they're unclassified.
how long do we keep this posted for?
Good question.
Well, I mean, again, that's defined in.
Well, I mean, there's a minimum,
It's a
right?
30 day. And then, to answer your question, if a public entity or any person delegate authority of public to review applications, hiring decision receives applications from 3 or more applicants who meet the minimum qualifications for a vacant position, the public entity or other person shall designate 3 or more of the qualified applicants as finalists. We heard all this in the superintendent, right? And then this goes into talking about whether the records become public and open, and you have to do that at that point. However, if the public entity or other person does not wish to consider any of the applications further and decides not to make an offer of employment, the public entity need not designate the finalist. So, yeah, I mean,
Except to reject all.
Is that just for superintendents though?
no, this is 44-4, this isn't even school board, this is this is general public employment, you know. And I mean, anybody else is welcome, but the way I read that, you know, this is also that once the finalists are designated, the applications and related records are open to the public. You know, you've seen that, you can get open records at that point.
Is that for any position?
Yeah, this is any state funded, you know, like I said, this is in.
Can we do that on teachers or?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never done that for teachers. I mean, I don't think any school does that for teachers.
Doesn't do the 30 days and the 3.
Most time it's
Oh,
2 to 3 weeks, they keep it open. And finalists, there are no finalists or anything, you interview who you select and you choose your teacher. And that's why I'm thinking, I know for superintendents you have to do that, but I don't think it's for. I'll have to look into that.
But I think part of that, the question
The whole
was.
state must be doing it wrong then.
If we post, well, you wonder, I mean, but if we post this and choose not to act upon it, there's nothing, I don't see anything that causes that to be a problem, so that's okay.
The only problem is we don't have a career advisor. That's why I would suggest we at least explore that as well as possibly listing. See if there is anybody internally that's interested in doing it, because if we don't get any applicants or we don't get the right applicant, we still have that position to fill. So I don't think it would be a bad idea to at least gather information from current staff who's willing and able to take on something like that, to see what's out there.
Yeah, you gotta have a backup plan. It's the end of June. School starts pretty soon. Is there more discussion? You guys have more input?
I mean, do you feel like this is the right avenue to go as of right now?
I think as of right now, and then, I mean, if we don't get any applicants or whatever happens, then we'll have to, like I said, we'll have to adjust and do what we can. I mean, we'll get through.
Well,
I mean,
I'll ask this too in a different way. Is there another position that, so what I'm hearing is the primary need is adding help for the high school principal. Is there another position that we should be considering that opening at the same time that would result in the same net effect of taking on what tasks are adding and not, you know, being accomplished? If we're opening positions and we're exploring, should we be going down that avenue?
I can't answer that yet. Ask me this time next year.
Right, well, and that's, yeah, that's,
So my other question is, are most people, teachers, whatever it is, familiar that being an assistant principal doesn't require the credentials necessarily?
No.
I'm wondering, are people gonna not apply for it because they don't have the principal credentials?
If we don't spell it out that you don't need them, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
So we
it's
would
gonna
have to
be
say-
strict, yeah,
okay.
because most people think that you're gonna need a principal credential to be an assistant principal.
So that's why I'm wondering, are people even gonna look at it? Even, the title of it might be Assistant Principal Career Advisor. Are they gonna click in further to even find out they don't need it? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
a lot of it's just a link that you click on and then it gives you the job description, correct?
Right,
So,
yeah.
I'm wondering if that's maybe the right title to use or whatever, because are we gonna truly get those people to apply for that if they don't know that they don't need?
Right.
I think, I can see what you're saying, but I think people will click on it and they'll read it.
I think most
Well, I'm not
people,
applying for the CEO of Boeing, and they're scrambling right now,
not the
I would hope so.
but they're,
I mean, but somebody
That
that's looking
company's
for
falling apart,
a
but-
principal job, me,
yeah,
I don't think.
I think you'll get the, like Dwayne said, I think you'll get the applicants who are looking to go into administration in the future. They're gonna at least click on it.
Okay.
Even though they
They're
may
gonna look
or
and see
may
what
not.
you're,
Yeah,
what you're
Sure.
posting, what your job description is.
I'm just
They're gonna look at
asking
that.
questions, cause I guess
Yeah.
I'm not clicking on something that I'm not qualified for necessarily, you know what I mean?
And then, the other question that needs to be answered, do we wanna do a vote first?
No, I think
This
you
is
should,
all part of
I think we should
discussion.
stay with discussion on this, because I don't,
Yeah, is the salary range,
Right.
yeah,
so.
yeah, I do want to, because you want to post that right
Yeah.
away. Got a recommendation?
Depends upon their qualifications. I mean, and we could just put that DOE.
But, so do you do 30,000 to 60,000? I mean, where do you draw a line on range, you know? Or
Yeah.
42 or whatever,
Teacher base.
Teacher base is-
41, 42 right now.
right?
Right now. You can make that your bottom.
Yeah,
I'm
you
not sure.
could make that your bottom and then say, depending upon experience, qualifications.
Cause I mean, okay, so now we do get somebody that's got their principal credentials. Where's our ceiling for this position? You know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
cause
No, I-
it kind of is an added position.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, it's an added debt to our budget.
Yeah.
So where's our ceiling on this then? Because if you get somebody that's, you know, 10 years principal that wants to move to small town North Dakota, that we find a unicorn that, you know, where's our ceiling? Cause it's not a $90,000 a year job,
No.
so,
I could put it at 65 right now. You can always go higher. If you find that person.
but I don't know if we wanna go higher. That's what I'm saying, like, we need to figure out what our max is too.
I mean, my opinion would be 65, I wouldn't go above that.
That would be,
But I mean, what do you guys think?
I think that sounds good. Your teacher base up to 65.
And then the qual, yeah.
So we're saying it follows the teacher salary schedule with a cap of 65? No,
I'm not, I just use that number as a starting point.
just 65. Oh, so that's a
Because
starting
if
point,
you-
it's not a max?
No,
Because
that's
if
65.
if you're a teacher and you qualify as an assistant principal because you're a teacher, and you, I don't know, you might as well just be a teacher for the teacher base instead of, starting at 35,000 as an assistant principal, type of deal, so.
So I'm still not following what you're,
I'm just saying that you probably want to move the minimum of a teacher for this position, is that right?
I would say so.
Right, so why go below the teacher base?
no, I didn't say below the teacher base,
So
I said.
that's where I came.
So
up
we're
with
gonna
that.
advertise as on the salary, the teacher salary schedule.
No, you would just say a range
I think we're just.
starting
Oh,
with the
at the
base
teacher's
salary
base up
up
to
to
65.
65.
Okay, fair enough. Like I said, pick 42, is that our current base?
Right? I think it's 42.5.
42.5.
And then I know the other thing that we had talked about for the career advisor and also for the other paperwork and stuff, as far as administration, is an extended contract. So would this individual have a 10-month contract, or would we stick them to a 9-month contract as a teacher?
Well, nothing in the duties that we were presented goes past the regular school year unless there's.
Some reports made,
duties, okay.
'cause,
10 months be enough.
oh yeah, 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after.
10 month.
Yeah, because we were talking too, this person would help with scheduling as well.
And registration.
And
Registration.
Okay.
And then ESSA choice ready the last few months and then into summer. And then the reports that you talked about.
And how long do we have this listed for?
I'll have to check, I mean, if we have to go 30 days,
Yeah, I'm
Well, I
checking
mean,
into
even-
that, I mean,
well,
but if
let's say it's
nobody's
not-
following it, it's a
Yeah,
problem.
let's say it's not 30 days, what do we want, I mean, Are we talking 3 weeks, or are we
I
talking?
wouldn't say any longer than 3 weeks.
Well, just keep it short and see if we find somebody, and if not, go to plan B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cause what's 3 weeks put us at?
Right at the end, basically last week of July.
The 16th. So, yeah, I mean, cause it's not gonna get listed, when would we be able to have this listed by? Okay, so so the 17th is when it's gonna close essentially, or do you go to the 19th? A Friday?
I think I close it on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday? Yeah. So we'd say July 17th. So then it truly wouldn't be approved, like if we decided yes or no till the 14th of August.
Unless you wanted another special meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
So fun.
Well, if they would find somebody, I would think we would wanna have a meeting and do it. And not wait, well, I suppose they could sign them, and we just,
Well, what if you found somebody who was,
I mean, if they find somebody that they feel is qualified for the job.
Yeah, but I don't wanna say, after the deal closes, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
what if we
Play it
find,
by ear.
so what if we find someone who's willing to do be a part-time career advisor, and doesn't wanna be a principal, just a flat career advisor?
I think that's the most important position right now.
Right. I mean, would you hire that person then as a part-time teacher? Is that a possibility?
I'll make a motion to advertise the career advisor position.
We still have a motion on
Oh,
the table.
sorry.
We're working on this motion right now. So. Any more discussion? Satisfied? Okay, so again, the motion is, to post a position for assistant principal / career advisor. Gone through the details.
It's 3 weeks, starting tomorrow, so close on the 17th, for a 10-month contract.
3-week advertising. $10-month contract.
42.5 to 65 is the range. Correct?
Yeah, unless you guys wanna change that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, well, on this motion then, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Now, do you wanna,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to advertise just the career advisor position separately. Know that, anybody, this could be an opportunity for somebody in the community that maybe wants to get involved in the school. Maybe he's thought about a paraprofessional, but maybe doesn't, since we're under no constraints of certifications. In fact, if I'm understanding right, when I read it, it actually asks for the individual doing that career advising to have 3 years of experience in a career outside of education, so. Anyway, the intent here is just simply put some hooks in the water and see if there's some interest in our community.
Would there be a downfall of advertising it both ways?
I don't think so. Or we could just put it,
Can you say, well, I guess, why not just do 2 listings at that point?
yeah, I mean, you could do
You could
2
say
listings.
and or,
Or, yeah, you could do 2 listings, or in the description of this one, you could say, would also entertain part-time career advisor.
Well, I'd even go to advertising this position as hourly, non-certified.
okay.
Right, I mean, what's a average hourly wage in our community?
It's 15 down there, I don't know what it
15
is here.
Elgin?
Yeah.
Be higher than that. But yes, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing that either, if it's a
Just advertise.
situation that we need to fill.
Advertise both.
Yeah,
Do you wanna call it part-time?
Yeah, it certainly would be a part-time, obviously that's not a full-time.
So a motion for.
You know, you might even wanna clarify, you're probably what? Less than 10 hours a week reasonably? I'm not sure what's,
We were talking to Jesse, you know, he always said 8 hours a week, but then, you know, the day I was in here, we were visiting with Jesse, and he was telling us everything he did. When he went back to Taylor and he kept doing it, it's like, well, that sounds more like a 15-hour-a-week job to me. But-
It depends,
Yeah,
but I
for
mean,
this,
that's
it
just
depends
my take.
upon the time of the year too. I mean, towards the end of school, you're gonna be doing a lot more than you are in the
Yeah.
beginning. So,
And the size of the classes,
right.
it really varies too.
Yeah.
Cause we've got some big classes coming up.
the senior class is 26.
Whereas we had, what, 13 this year, so.
Right.
Big difference.
Okay, you want it? Got a motion for.
I'll second.
Motion and a second for to also post just straight career advisor, part-time?
yeah, it's
You wanna-
certainly
you wanna say
part-time, yeah, you don't, part-time,
So then do we draw out hourly rate,
You wanna do the same thing?
all that?
I think,
Because I mean, it's gonna be,
well, what do you guys want it?
I don't know what the salaries are around here.
Hourly or?
yeah, also just 10 hours a week at a range of $16 to $18 an hour for the posting. I don't know, I really don't know the market in the town very
I'm
well,
not
so.
sure either.
It would be my inclination that somebody interested in this would be not doing it for the money, more for the, they don't wanna be involved in the school, so.
What's the average para wage?
That's a good, probably good.
1750.
So right in there.
Yeah, I think that's a good comparison.
Same 3-week advertising.
I would
the
say
same
so.
3 weeks?
Sure. And you said 16 to 18, right? Yeah. And 10 hours a week.
And this would be temporary, just like a para, summer's off.
I would assume.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why they call it temporary. It is.
Every job is.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, part-time career advisor position. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
2. We need to roll call, we get 2. I was an aye.
So that's 3
There's 3 to 2.
Okay. 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 That's our agenda, so. With that, meeting adjourned.